ones out there. Today, my question is, does coffee do this to your blood sugar? Be sure to watch to the end of today's video to find out. If you are just finding me, welcome, or perhaps you've been following me since March, which is almost a year ago now. Can you believe it? I wanted to be a source of inspiration for all of us with type 1 when COVID hit. I've been sharing inspiration, education, and motivation for how to live a healthy life with type 1 now for a year. I've worked virtually with patients for 10 years. I've had type 1 myself for 40 years. I just had lunch, so I'm a little bit high for me right now. I know most everybody, when they see that, they're like, that's not high. Well, I do believe it's possible to say between 80 and 120 most of the time. My high alarm is at 120, which is why this is already orange, because I'm above 120. And that is what I teach. That is what I can teach you when you follow me, and that's what I teach patients with type 1 that have worked with me privately and that are in my membership program, which I can tell you more about at the end. But today, coffee. I want to talk about coffee, or frankly, any caffeine for that matter, right? So if you are like most type 1s, we have been taught that only carbs raise our blood sugar, which if you've been following me, you know that's not true, because protein can affect your blood sugar, fat can affect your blood sugar, and guess what? Caffeine can affect your blood sugar. I actually have a whole course called Why Carb Counting Doesn't Work on this on my website, but that's for another time. So the question is, does caffeine raise your blood sugar? And the answer is, with so many things with type 1, it depends, right? There's nothing consistent really in type 1, except that there is consistent variations. That is what's consistent with type 1, is consistent variations. I say that we can't, quote, control type 1. We have to navigate it. It's like we're captains of a ship, and we have to take our tools that we've learned, which I love to give you more tools all the time, and then we have to captain the ship, our ships, differently every day, depending on the weather, depending on the environment, right? So if you drink caffeine in the morning and you think, oh yeah, I drink coffee and I go up, well, that could be because of your cortisol hormone, or your dawn phenomenon, as it's called. So if you've been drinking coffee in the morning and you see a spike, you don't really know if, in your case, coffee raises your blood sugar, because what you'd have to do to find out if it's the caffeine that's raising your blood sugar or your hormones is you would have to be willing to wake up and don't drink any coffee and see if you still go up. Because a lot of us go up as soon as we wake up. And that's why I give myself 1 or 2 units as soon as I wake up, even if I'm on the low end of normal, because I personally always go up in the morning. But of course, that's variable, and I help people figure out how to deal with that. So if you see yourself going up and you've always said, well, that's my coffee, what I encourage you to do is have some coffee on an empty stomach later in the day, before lunch, after lunch, something like that, and see if you have the same spike from it. Okay, now it's coffee, or it's, any other caffeine. I just had a bunch of raw cacao. It's, the cacao bean is what chocolate comes from, and there's obviously caffeine in chocolate. And I made like this peanut butter, almond milk, raw cacao smoothie with stevia, basically chocolate peanut butter shake, diabetic friendly. And I am like full of caffeine right now. I put so much raw cacao in there. So my sugar level is probably up a little bit from that. Oh, sure enough, look, I'm headed up. I am headed up. I might go for a bike ride to bring that back down from all the caffeine, because there is carbs in raw cacao, but, I do a no carb almond milk, peanut butter doesn't have carbs in it, but there's a lot of caffeine in the cacao, and there are carbs, and you'll learn from me if you follow me and join my membership that protein and fat can raise us too. So I'm definitely feeling the spike from my caffeine right now. So that's the way you know. And, some days it's different. Maybe you drink coffee in the morning, you spike up, and maybe you don't. But you don't really know in your body if caffeine raises you or not unless you've done a non-morning caffeine test on several occasions to come up with what the norm is for you, right? Because maybe you try it once. Maybe you're like, oh, I should try that. I should try some coffee at 11 or 1 o'clock on an empty stomach and see if I go up. Well, we all know if you go up for one day, one trial, you may or may not go up the next day. right? When I work with people privately and in my membership program, I always say diabetes is so varied that you need to do an experiment multiple times, and then you take kind of the most popular trend of an answer that you got, right? So if you really want to know if caffeine raises you, have a bunch of coffee several times, empty stomach, so it's not the food that's raising you. You know it's not the food that's raising you. Have your coffee when it's not first thing in the morning, so then you don't have the cortisol spike affecting you. And after, I don't know, 3 to 5 times of trying coffee later in the day, empty stomach, you'll have 3 to 5 controlled experiments to see how many of those 3 to 5 times you went up. Then you'll actually know, on the norm, does caffeine raise me? So I personally don't like to drink caffeine in the morning because, like, right now it's 1 o'clock where I live and I'm having the spike from the cacao caffeine, that dealing with the caffeine spike in the morning, I don't want to deal with it because I already deal with the cortisol spike in the morning. So I don't want a 2 variable spike in the morning. So people are like, you don't drink coffee? I'm like, no, I don't. Let's see. Rebecca Ann says, also depends on the coffee. There's one coffee shop that I avoid due to it rising my blood sugar. Absolutely. There's so many different levels of caffeine, right? Milligrams of caffeine. It doesn't matter. I mean, they say that a shot of espresso is less than actually a cup of drip, right? So if in your experiment, make sure you use the exact same whatever, the exact same coffee, the amount, the kind, everything in your experiment. So you actually have something consistent in your experiment, right? You can't have a shot of caffeine one day and then a big thing of drip another day and a different brand or a different style, right? Because you're absolutely right, Rebecca. Totally depends on how many milligrams of caffeine are in your coffee. So that's why sometimes I like drinking decaf, even though there's still enough caffeine in decaf sometimes to weird me out. So if you would like to follow me and learn more, I would love to help you. I am all about helping type 1s get the education that you need to have an A1C below 6.5. Because I have spent many years feeling like nobody knows what they're doing out there. I didn't know what I was doing, and I didn't have a care team that really could help me understand my sugar levels. I have now helped thousands of people around the world get some of the best A1Cs of their life, and I've created a membership program. I'm going to put the link right above. I have a free version. You don't get access to my education in the free version, but you're at least in my community. But the educational version, I do live trainings every Monday and live Q&As every Tuesday. So my intention is that I give you all the tools that you need to finally stop going on the roller coaster. Okay, it's good for parents of type 1s that are newly diagnosed, and those of us that are veterans that are burnt out, because I've got lots of patients like that. So if you're struggling with type 1, please check out the membership program. And I've been doing these Facebook Lives now, like I said, for almost a year. I'm going to be, because I've started my membership program, I'm only going to be doing Facebook Lives on Mondays now. I was doing them 5 days a week, then I was doing them Monday and Wednesday, and now this is it, peeps, just Mondays. So my trainings in the membership program are going to be much more extensive than these Facebook Lives. So you will learn a lot more in the membership program. So it's called Type 1 Diabetes Crew. I'll put the link right above and below. So please check out the Type 1 Diabetes Crew. And when you join the educational membership, you will have access to me to ask your questions. You'll get the toolbox for how to get good A1C. You'll figure out how to have less highs and less lows. So my passion is to help as many type 1s as I can. I've helped so many one-on-one that now I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to reach so many more. So that's why I've created this membership program. It's my mission to help us with type 1 get the care we deserve. So head on over to the Type 1 Diabetes Crew, and thank you so much for watching. Leave any comments in the thread below, and I hope to see you in the Type 1 Diabetes Crew. Okay? Have a great day, and I'll see you here on Facebook next Monday. Bye for now.